Ghana's healthcare system is not on the brink of collapse. That's according to Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Ebenezer Appiah-Denchwa. He tells Joy News he's frustrated by the increasing wave of strike hitting the health sector.
So this is rather devastating because the service, our job is to ensure that all the people in the country have quality health. Actually, that's our act of worship. I mean, if you say love your neighbor as yourself, that's what we want to do. And the fact that services are withdrawn, it makes it a bit devastating. What we think is that once we start negotiating, the government has put in structures for negotiating. So once that machinery has started, everybody has to go by that. And in this world, anytime you negotiate, it's win-win. Sometimes you win, you lose. Sometimes you make progress. But it can be very frustrating when it comes to negotiation, but you don't lose hope.
Have you been overwhelmed by all these strikes? Because doctors are not working, pharmacists are on strike, nurses. Have you been overwhelmed as a service?
No, actually, nurses are not on strike. And we are also talking to the doctors and pharmacists. Pharmacists just started, and we are talking to them to reconsider their position. For a service, what we do is that we appeal to people, and then we sit down with them for them to see reason, and also make sure that the government have a listening ear, as rather put in place negotiation.
What do you say to those who say that Ghana's healthcare system is on the brink of collapse? Because doctors are not just, they are saying that they are not just on strike. They are threatening that they are going to resign en masse. The pharmacists, they are not working. But even junior nurses have also threatened to join. We had mental health nurses also, embarking on a sit-down strike.
You know, they won't join. I'm very optimistic.
Is our healthcare system on the brink of collapse?
No, it's not collapsing. When we talk about health system, it starts from the individual. You understanding how disease comes about, and then preventing it. That's why all this we've been talking about health promotion. That person, I would wish that the media, you always allocate some big chunk of your airtime for education. Because if I know about disease, I keep my environment clean, I eat the appropriate food, I don't fall sick.
No, but Doc, you agree with me that now if a patient in Ofuman goes to hospital now, there's no doctor to take care of him or her. You know, pharmacists are not there to even dispense drugs. So definitely, this is going down to the average man.
Yeah, I agree. That's theoretically, that's how it should go. But I know the mood of those who normally do that. And I say that they don't actually want to harm a patient. They only trying to bring their case to the fore. And that is why we are now appealing to them. If that is the premise of which maybe you are striking, then ensure that you put in the systems whereby the emergencies are taken care of. Because that time we appeal to your conscience that is how it should be.
Clearly, we've heard the GMA, clearly they are saying that these appeals they are not going to listen to. The pharmacists, we do know that the chief of staff met them, tried to talk to them. They also didn't, they are saying that they've received countless failed, promises. And now the patient there is the one bearing the brunt of all this. How soon are we going to see an end to all this?
Oh, it will end. Normally when people come to understand the devastating effect of what they are doing, they relent. And that's why we need to talk about. We don't have to come to a situation where people are suffering.
We also know that pharmacists in government hospitals across the country today embarked on a strike. We know that patients are being turned away. Let's get on the phone lines and speak to my colleague Fred Smith, who is at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Fred, what's the situation where you are?
Well, Francisca, the doctors are already on strike. And yesterday, the pharmacists also declared a strike. Because of the doctor strike, already we have many patients not coming to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and the other public hospitals. And so attendance here is very low. Because of that, not many people are going to the pharmacies at Kolebu to get drugs. However, we see the pharmacists, some of them are behind their counters and waiting for patients to serve. The instruction, they tell me, that has been given them is that they should only serve emergency cases and not do night or weekend service.
And Fred, have you managed to interact with some of these pharmacists who are just sitting idle or perhaps waiting for early emergencies?
I've interacted with some of them, and what they're saying is that they have instruction not to only serve emergency cases. They are not supposed to serve customers at night.
Very well, very well. Let's talk about the patients coming in. Those who are not coming with emergency cases, do they have any other alternatives if the pharmacists there cannot serve them?
Well, Francisca, despite what the pharmacist told me, many people, the few who came here asking for help, were given. The pharmacist actually served people who did not have emergency cases, and I spoke to some of these patients as well.
Okay, that's Fred Smith from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where the pharmacists have also joined the strike. We know that the doctors called this earlier about a week ago, and the nurses also took part. That's the situation at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Now, the Association of State Attorneys has called off its month-long nationwide strike. Let's get on the phone lines for more from our correspondent, Matilda Wemega. Matilda, good afternoon to you. Do you know why the association has called off the strike?
Yes, Francisca, you know that state attorneys have been striking for close to a month now over issue about harmonization of their salary, payment of some outstanding leave, including allowances, and what they describe as a very deplorable working condition. So throughout this period of the negotiations with the government and key stakeholders in addressing their concerns, they have been invited by the National Labour Commission to begin with a compulsory arbitration, which started yesterday. So in 14 days, the National Labour Commission is expected to come out with a report, which is to address their concerns. So they have called off the strike for the compulsory arbitration to take place. So in order for a peaceful deliberation and then a settled kind of agreement to address their concerns, they have put their strike on hold. They tell me it is not because their issues have been addressed. Throughout this period of negotiations, none of the concerns, the issues they put on the table has been addressed by government, and they feel very bad about it. It doesn't look like government is taking the state attorneys seriously as we speak. So they tell me they are on hold, so after 14 days, if their concerns are not, they would come up with the next line of action. As to the exact, the action is going to be, they won't disclose that, but they tell me after 14, they would begin with a strike, but it will take a different shape. So as we speak now that they have called off the strike, state attorneys have reported to work, and work is going on as usual, Francisca.
Thank you very much. That's Matilda Wemega giving us the latest regarding the strike by the state attorneys. They have called it off because the National Labour Commission has invited them for compulsory arbitration, but there are still pending issues. We'll close the chapter here for now on the strike on the labour front with regards to health sector workers. Now, an 18-year-old girl is speaking out against her father, who continuously raped her over a period of 6 years. Her father allegedly started having sex with her when she turned 12. After she got pregnant and delivered, the man compelled her to use contraceptives so he could continue having sex with her. A few days ago, she decided to break her silence and told Joy News' Beatrice Edu about how she appears to have been abandoned by the police after she lodged a complaint.
I'm 18 years old and I have stayed with my father for 9 years. I'm staying in a shelter, and whereby I had a case with my father. When I was born, my mother left me at the age of 3 months, and my mother gave me to my father's stepmother. So my auntie take care of me from that time to when I was 7 years. My father took over till when I was 17 years, and I left my father. But within those years, I had a difficult time with my father. So many mothers came to take care of me, but I couldn't get help from them or love from any of them. But alongside the room, I stayed with my father alone, and whilst I was staying there, he maltreated me and sometimes tell me he will not give me when he's gone or when he's dead. He will not give me some of it. Yeah, he will not write my name on his properties. He would rather give it to other siblings of mine. And when I turned to 12 years, my father started sleeping with me. And then when I was 15 years also, I was raped at school. And I told my father that day that I was raped at school. And that same day, he slept with me twice. And he sent the case to the police station. And from that day, I got pregnant, but I didn't know that I was pregnant. So when I was at the age of 16 and I gave birth to a boy, and from that time when I was pregnant too, my father was still sleeping with me for 5 good years. That was when I was 17 years. And then I turned off to the police that this was my father was doing to me.
Oh, you're claiming that before he had sex with you, he was treating you. What sort of maltreatment?
When maybe I go to him or when I play with friends, he doesn't want me to play with friends, not even my siblings, because if I go near them, he knows that maybe I might split the beans out to any of my friends or my siblings. So he doesn't allow me to have friends, much more, not even friends as girls or boys as friends. If he see me with them, he will beat me severely.
And how did it start?
He started when, he started this, I didn't know, when I am sleeping at dawn, this man goes to work and comes back late. So when he comes back, he used to worry me, take off my dresses, sometimes tell me not to wear anything to go to bed. But I didn't understand the issue. So sometimes he worries me with these things, sometimes shows the pornographic movies for me, but I didn't like the movie. I'd rather take the phone and throw it somewhere, but he'll beat me if I do anything like that.
He was showing the porn movies on his phone for you to watch?
Either he'll show it on the phone or on the television. He used the deck to show those movies for me, but I didn't like it.
So the first day he had sex with you, what did he do?
I actually don't remember the first day, but I only know when I turned to 12 years, he started that with me, but I don't remember the actual day he started that.
Yes, but how did it happen the first day?
The first day, let me say, he came and started something like that, but he wasn't getting the access really, so he started that gradually before he got it.
And after you delivered, what happened from there?
He was still doing the same thing. When I got pregnant, he wanted me to go and abort it, but where we went to do the abortion, the doctor was saying that the tools that he has to do that were not good enough because the pregnancy was much older than his tools for him to do that. So then it stopped, and my prayers was also that he shouldn't do such a thing because I've never done it. Yeah, I had family plan, and that was, I think, I took it off last 2 months, and I had it 1 year. It was 1 year last year, December 18th. I did that. He told me to go and let's go so that he will do it for me so that I'll be protected while not to get pregnant again.
And you watched that devastating story. Well, my colleague Beatrice Edu spoke to the defilement victim. You just heard from her. Her investigations reveal that the man accused of committing the crime is walking around a free man.
She initially also felt that it was something that happens to all girls. Their fathers do that to them. And actually, she reported the case first. She had to walk into the Adenta Dofsu and tell them that this is the ordeal I'm facing every day, and so I can't take it anymore.
What made her take that decision? At what point did she realize, well, maybe something is wrong with the kind of relationship I have with my daddy? What made her take it? What was the tipping point?
That was when she started having pains in her left arm. You know, the kind of contraceptive the father gave her, or when they went to the hospital, what they used, it was the implant on her left arm, and it started hurting her, and she couldn't take it anymore. She told the father that I want to take it out. The father said no. So when she realized that she couldn't take the pain, she had to walk into the police and report.
Yeah. Where is the father now?
He's working a free man.
she reported the case, so why is he a free man?
Well, what I've been told by my sources is that when the girl reported the case, they took her out of the father's home, gave her a shelter, so she's currently in a shelter. The case went to the Cocoa First Court, ran for some weeks, and the man has been working a free man. They don't know what has happened to the case. Interestingly, my sources are not at Adenta Dovsu where this case was reported, so I went to Adenta Dovsu to inquire why the man was working a free man. And I met two women. They told me, well, they didn't investigate the case. There was a man who did. That man has been sent on a peace mission out of the country. I asked, did he hand over the case to anybody? They said they didn't know. If I wanted more information, I should go to Cocoa First Court and get the police prosecutor.
I think it gets disgusting by the minute, especially when you think about the fact that, look, this girl, like you were telling me earlier, wants justice. She wants something done to her father.
And she's actually angry. Later in our subsequent bulletins, you get to hear her talk about the fact that she felt she didn't want anything bad to happen to the father. But now she's realized that the father did her harm, and she wants her jailed.
And it tells how she feels about her father. She's equally disgusted by what her father has done to her. And I don't know, where is the mother?
Unfortunately, I think like you heard her, or you saw her tell me, the mother gave her out when she was just 3 months. And so she's never met the mother. She doesn't know the mother's family. So when she gave her out at that tender age, the father, obviously a man, can't take care of a child who is 3 months. So he handed her over to his family member, a woman, who took care of her until she turned 7 and then sent her back to him. So she started living with her dad at the age of 7. And then at 12 years, he started doing his own thing.
And they had a baby, a baby boy. Where's the child now?
I'm told, the girl told me that the father's sister or auntie who took her in when she was a toddler has taken the baby and has even refused to let her see the child.
Well, the police say that they're investigating the case. We can now hear from ACP Habiba Chumesi Sapong. She's acting head of DOFSU.
A reported case. I think it was reported at one of our offices at Adenta. It was investigated and sent to court, and the court granted bail to the suspect.
Now, we also hear of an incident where at some point during the investigation, someone went to pick up this girl's father and then took him to the shelter where this girl is being kept for her own protection. And as a result of this, the father now visits the shelter often and threatens the girl. How did this come to be?
In fact, what I know is that the girl is at a shelter somewhere in Accra. And I don't know that the father keeps on threatening her. So I'm going to investigate that. And after that, I'll feed you in. But what I know is that the girl was sent to a shelter for protective custody to secure her. Because if we don't do that, normally if we don't do that, like we are talking about intimidation, there will be those kind of... And when we send them there, we do give psychosocial support so that the trauma and other things will be reduced or removed from them.
Now,
so I'll find out. This is a new twist you are giving me, the threatening case. So I'll find out about that, and we are going to investigate that as well.
You said that the man has been bailed by the courts. Of course, that was a decision of the courts, nothing to do with DOFSU. But just for my education, I understand some offences are non-bailable, like drug use or murder, armed robbery, that sort of thing. But is defilement bailable?
I may not be in position to say why the bill. That one, I'm sorry, I cannot speak about it. The decision of the circuit judge to grant the bill.
And we'll keep our eyes on this story to see what the police does concerning the story where an 18-year-old girl was defiled by her own father. This is still news today with me, Francisca Kakra-Forson. We'll go for a short break. We'll come back with more stories. Please stay. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on News Today on Joy News on Multi TV. A blind woman with 4 children is contemplating taking her own life and those of her children because she's embarrassed by her inability to cater for them. Regina Mensah was expecting her 4th child when she fell and hit her head and has since not been able to see. The man she called her husband also abandoned her just a week after delivery of her 4th child. Joy News' Kwete Nate visited the family and has come through with this report.
Regina Mensah lost her mom when she was only 5 years old. As a child, Regina single-handedly footed the bills of her basic education. That was the only level her meager income could take her. She sold on the street to survive. Regina's ordeal began when she hit her head against a stone and went blind while expecting her 4th baby.
Around 4 to 5 new. Between 4
a.m. and 5 a.m., I woke up to urinate. I didn't know there was water on the ground, so I slept and hit my head on the bed and fell on the floor. I went blind afterwards.
Actually,
Regina's husband abandoned her when she lost her sight. She walks around only with the help of her 9-year-old son. Now blind, it's difficult for Regina to resume her old business of selling sachet water in the day and hawking fried yams in the night. And it's a burden her little children cannot carry. Regina says having to rely on friends to feed her new baby saddens her.
I'm
unable to work because I can't see. I cannot fulfill my responsibility as a parent. My husband abandoned me just a week after delivery. Because of my condition, I have been advised not to breastfeed her. I rely on friends to feed the baby, but that help is not enough.
Regina's plight was first reported by Adum News when her landlady threatened to evict her. Being unable to pay the rent, she is now homeless. Filled with grief and frustration, Regina says she's now contemplating ending her life and those of her children because she's helpless.
I could not pay the rent, and the landlady was threatening to throw us out. So I sent my son to buy poison so I could take our lives. I could no longer handle the frustration.
The wish of Regina's 9-year-old son is an opportunity for her mom to see again so she could work to pay his school fees.
I'm a school dropout because of my mother's condition. I wish she could see so I can return to class.
And that's a prayer they are looking up to God to answer. Reporting for Joy News, Kwete Nate, Teshi.
The community of Kong in the northern region is one with a lot of challenges. Talk of roads, healthcare, you name it. Life there can be very difficult. For pregnant women, the situation is even dire. Accessing healthcare in this community seems an insurmountable challenge as they need to travel some 25 kilometers to the nearest health facility. In the past 7 months, 5 expectant mothers had no choice than to deliver on the road, on the way to a health center in a nearby town. Rafiq Salam has more.
In this community, they have a resident population of a little over 3,000 people. And the people have myriad of challenges facing them. And one of them is their inability to have access to quality health care. There's no clinic here, and the women here have to walk long distance in search of this quality health care here. And so I'm going to speak to one woman who went through that experience of accessing quality health care at Tuna. On her way, she delivered twins. Now let's move on and speak to the woman. Fatuma Mahama is a mother of 8, and she has been living in this farming community for her entire 40 years life. In fact, she delivered 11 children, but 3 passed on. On 2 of the occasions that she was in labor, she delivered 2 sets of twins, but one under difficult and mysterious circumstance. She delivered on her way to the Tuna Health Center on the back of a motorbike. She recounted what happened to her that fateful night, riding on the bumpy 25-kilometer road to the health center.
When I was in labor, I woke my husband up and he told me that he wasn't having motorbike. I shouted at him to go and beg from one shakibu, which he did. On our way, I asked him to stop for me to attend nature's call. Immediately he stopped and I alighted from the motorbike. I delivered twins.
Going through that excruciating pain, she swore that she will never become pregnant again unless there's a health facility in their community.
We are not rich, and our husbands can't afford motorbikes. When you are in labor, your husband has to go begging from colleagues who are having nice times with their wives for you to be sent to the clinic. In that way, you inconvenience them. So I have resolved not to give birth anymore.
It's been close to 3 years since the incident occurred, and the change Fatuma Mahama craved for is even worsening by the day. The road is still bumpy and becomes unmotorable anytime it rains. Pregnant women found it difficult to attend antenatal service at the Tuna Health Center because their husbands had to carry them on motorbikes on the deplorable road, which sometimes caused them to deliver on the road, while those who were lucky to reach the center delivered their babies dead. A highly pregnant Fatuma Isa, who is a mother of 2 and has already had 2 stillbirths on the road, shared her frustration.
My heart always palpitates when it comes to mind. My husband has neither bicycle nor a motorbike, even if you are lucky to have any of them. But the bad road will not spare you. Your faith always hangs in the balance.
Meanwhile, the Solar Tuna Kalaba District Director of the Ghana Health Service, Thomas Bebe Sr., speaking off camera, conceded the situation is worrying, but plans are far afoot to build a health center for the community. He stated that a contract has already been awarded by the Solar Tuna Kalaba District Assembly to that effect, and work is scheduled to begin the next few weeks. It is the wish of residents here, especially pregnant women, to access quality health care right at their doorstep. There could not be any better time to demand for it than now. They are appealing to the Solar Tuna Kalaba District Assembly to quicken the process to enable them realize this life-saving dream. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Kung, Northern Region.
You're still here on News Today on Joy News on Multi TV. We'll take a short break. When we come back, business is next. Welcome back. Time now for business. The Ghana Revenue Authority has set up a special revenue mobilization task force to ensure taxpayers are compliant and defaulters are accordingly sanctioned. The move is to allow the GRA raise additional 6.5 billion cedis expected of it as revenue target before the end of the year.
The Special Revenue Mobilization Task Force will complement the efforts of the Debt Management and Compliance Enforcement Unit of the GRA on tax payments. Task Force, whose mandate will expire by the end of December this year, is expected to enforce tax compliance with a number of activities.
For the first half of the year, the Ghana Revenue Authority has exceeded its revenue target. But exceeding your target by 1% or 2% does not mean that you should rest on your oars. No. We feel there's a need for us to collect even more to ensure that the government is in a position to meet the needs of the citizenry when it comes to provision of social amenities and the discharge of the government's responsibility.
The task force, meanwhile, says it is ready to help the GRA achieve its revenue targets.
The target is to ensure that domestic tax revenue division, you see, which collects domestic tax, achieves its target. The target is about 12.364 billion Ghana cedis. You see, as at now, we have collected 5.849 billion Ghana cedis. You see, that is 47% of the entire DTRD collection. Normally, the trend is good because the first half of the year, we don't expect to collect more than the second half of the year. So this trend is good. It's normal with us. So the second half, at least, we are expected to collect about 53%. Our target is to ensure that that difference of 53% is erased completely and then even go beyond.
The GRA is asking taxpayers to cooperate with the new task force to rake in revenue for the country.
The World Bank is confident the recent credit guarantee and loans to Ghana will help stabilize the troubled economy. The bank recently extended a $700 million guarantee for the completion of the country's biggest gas field, the Sankofa project. The project is seen as a transformational one that will help address the country's serious energy shortages by developing new sources of clean and affordable natural gas for domestic power generation. The World Bank also approved a unique combination of two guarantees for the project. These are an IDA payment guarantee of $500 million that supports timely payments for gas purchases by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation and an IBRD enclave loan guarantee of $200 million that enables the project to secure financing from private sponsors. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, says consumers of petroleum products can look forward to more price reductions as the various oil marketing companies try to outdo each other in the new price deregulated regime. ACEP Executive Director Dr. Amin Adam says the current regime makes it difficult for OMCs to ignore what their competitors are doing.
That had that had not reduced as at the last time so, there was this reduction.
Exactly. And so companies that reduce their prices significantly from the last pricing window, they will benefit. They have a wider margin to adjust their prices upwards. But those that didn't reduce significantly, they can reduce by marginal, upward adjustment. And so they will not benefit much. And this is why the market is controlling the sale of the product. For the sake of competition, you are likely not to see any of them selling at the maximum price indicator, because they will have to compete with each other. And so you are likely to see some increasing by 2% when they should have increased by 5%. Others may even maintain their prices. Some may even reduce their prices.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm more interested in those that are likely to reduce it.
All of them decreased prices the last time, except that some decreased more than others. Okay. For instance, Lucky Oil was selling petrol per litre at 3 cedis 53 pesos. Now the maximum price indicator for the next window is average at 3 cedis 53 pesos. So for Lucky Oil, there will not be any adjustment because the price for the last window is the same price for these windows, the current windows maximum. So they cannot even adjust.
How about
but those that are likely to reduce, Wando Ghana was selling at 3 cedis 538 pesos. The maximum now is 3 cedis 534 pesos. And so they are likely to reduce their price by 0.1%.
But on Newsday, we have been talking about the strike by health workers on the labor front. We've heard about the doctor's strike. They began last week. And then we told you about the nurses and also the pharmacists. You heard from our reporter, Fred Smith, that the pharmacists are on a sit-down strike. They are only attending to emergency cases. That was the latest on the ground from Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We'll bring you more details right after this break. Let's now get the latest on the strike by nurses at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. My colleague Mami A.C. Thompson joins us on the phone line. Hello, Mami. What can you tell us?
Right, Francisca, I'm still at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Right now, the nurses are in a meeting with hospital officials and the Ministry of Health, represented by Tony Goodman. They aren't done yet, but I'm hearing that they haven't come to any conclusive agreement yet. And so we still don't know what the terms are. We still don't know what is going to be, whether they will return to work or they will still be on strike. So currently, that's what's going on. We're still waiting to find out what will come out of the meeting.
Very well, Mami. Quickly, give us an understanding of how the nurses on duty, that's the senior nurses who we understand are actually working, how they are faring without the junior nurses.
Hello?
Yes, Mami. I was asking about the nurses who are actually working. We understand the senior nurses are on duty earlier before this meeting, and they were being overstretched because the junior nurses were not there to assist them. How bad was the situation there?
Francisca, I can hardly hear you now.
Okay, we'll leave it here, but that's Mami A.C. Thompson. She was bringing us the details from the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. The nurses who have been on strike are in a meeting with the Health Ministry. We'll bring you details in subsequent bulletins. But you can go on myjoyonline.com for details of all these stories and more. Thanks for joining us. My name is Francisca Kakra Forsen.